This is a long form video, so I can speak with less pressure and more offhandedly, and so few will watch this anyway. But today I'm going to speak about mental power levels. The first truth to acknowledge is that the world is shaped by exponentials and force multipliers. That much must be obvious and clear from the past industrial revolutions and the agricultural revolution and so on. We would never have gotten to where we are now were we to act and think linearly. So, in a short amount of time, the world population will reach 10 billion. It might be that now, but approximating to within an order of magnitude, it already is so. And so, that gives us 10 orders of magnitude embedded therein. We can think about those who are in the top billion, those who are in the top 100 million, those who are in the top 10 million, and so on. And we can think about mental power levels. And so I've came up with this here. At level 1, to be at level 1, as in to be in the top 1 billion minds on Earth, you need an IQ of 119 or higher. To be at level 2, as in to be at part of the top 100 million minds on Earth, you need an IQ of 135 or higher. Just one more. To be at level 3, as in to be one of the top 10 million minds on Earth, you need an IQ of 146 or higher. And it goes up. The square root of 10 billion is 100,000. That doesn't necessarily have any relevance, but it's sort of a cute way to partition things, because level 6 intellects or higher are above the square root line, and they have an IQ of 164 or higher. Notice how most IQ tests cap out at 165. So these people are beyond detection to an ordinary IQ test. But the real truth of it is that they were beyond detection long before they were ever subject to any kind of testing or systems or bureaucracy or rules. Because from a very, very, very early age, they would have figured out that indiscriminately signaling their intellect level to everyone around them is not to their advantage. Who are the wealthiest people on Earth? If you go to Google to find this out, you've already lost. Because the wealthiest people on Earth will spend a portion of their wealth hiding their wealth, or possibly, on the other hand, artificially amplifying it. You see, there's the real level and the real layer, and then there's the layer of signals above it. But overwhelmingly, it would be to their advantage to hide their wealth from less wealthy people, and the same goes for the most mentally powerful on Earth. It's not exactly to their advantage to go around constantly signaling that they are the smartest people on Earth, because it's alienating, and they are still subject to micro ostracisms and social friction in their daily lives, and why introduce that if there's no need to? Okay, with all that said, how do they think? Now, if you're watching this, you're necessarily a level 1 or above. You may be a level 2, and I think at most, not to flatter myself, you may at most be a level 4. Alright? I don't think any of these people are watching this. Alright? And that's fine, because I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you. I don't know which of these levels I'm at exactly, but I know that it's... I'm pretty sure that it's under level 4. So how do these people think? And why would I mention that there about your level and my level? Well, because it's not possible for me to have full access to how these people think, in the same way that it's not possible for you to really understand what it's like to have billions in wealth. You can imagine it all day long, but you don't really know what it's like. Nonetheless, I can speculate with some grounding. I'm not about to tell you that they can jump over buildings or something like that. Here's a novel by Charles Dickens. It's a book that occupies some space on my shelf. And here's a textbook on algebra by Serge Lang. Again, this is a book that occupies some space on my shelf. Now, to a very young person, these may sort of have similar levels of status in their mind. Perhaps this would seem just a little bit harder and more technical and so on, right? But more or less they would have the same, they would be mentally bracketed at the same level. In the same way that 2 stars in the night sky to you may have the same apparent brightness, but in actuality one may be far brighter and hotter and more massive than the other by orders of magnitude. Anyway, as you move on in life, as you go on in life and you do more mathematics, you rapidly begin to understand this is surely more difficult than Charles Dickens' novel right there. But if you actually study mathematics to any degree of depth, let's say just up to calculus, you understand that this is many, many times harder. And in fact, this is incomparable to the Charles Dickens novel. This requires abstraction, depth, exponential thinking. It has so many force multipliers built into it. You can't access the later chapters in any meaningful way without understanding the previous ones. So, I want to say that people at level 6 or above, exponential thinking may be native to them. It may be native to them. They may read a book like Serge Lang's Algebra in the same way that you and I would read a novel by Charles Dickens. Yeah, line by line, taking each new multiplier, each new piece of technical depth, and just tacking it on as in the same way that you and I would just directly plug into these sentences. That's how they might think natively, like naturally. Okay? And so you would then be sort of like thinking, so what, like, would they never read something like this? No, they may do. They may do so for the sake of cultivating fluency, cultural capital, perhaps testing internal processes. Perhaps this might be their way of relaxing in a more profound way than you or I would, in the same way that you and I might really shut down our brains at a pub or by a swimming pool. This might be their version of it. So that gives you some idea of what might be going on for them with them mentally. And as soon as they wake up in the morning, no mental fog. They might look up and see a ceiling stain. And for you and I, we would think, oh, that's, that needs to be painted over or something like that. But to them, it would occur instantly to visualize the geometry of the plumbing behind it. To catalogue that with all the other ceiling stains that they've seen. To make accurate and telling conjectures about the level of maintenance of the building that they're in and the owners of the building and so on and so on. Like this may all just come instantaneously to them and naturally without any effort whatsoever. And then thoughts which I can't even begin to comprehend. Thoughts which I can't even begin to comprehend. Now that sounds ridiculous. It sounds like, please, Josh, now you're turning you're turning like a floating plastic bag into quantum physics or something. But what I really mean to say is that to an adult mind, we have so many schemas in our heads that we consider so natural, but to a child it's like that's something that takes them years to learn, years and years and years to learn, and they are the next level above that. They are the next level above that. Minds like ours, to them, will be slow, incapacitated. We'll look as if we're just constantly drunk and blind and deaf. We'll look like we're children to them and are clueless and just caught up in cycles. Whatever those cycles happen to be, whether they're destructive or even productive, but we would just seem helplessly locked in these cycles. But to them, it would just seem so obvious. It would seem so obvious. And what else can I say about them? Well, will they all know mathematics? The overwhelming majority of people at level 6 and above will have mathematical literacy. It would be exceptionally rare for someone level 6 and above to not have mathematical literacy, and that may be because they have notions of everything being mathematics anyway, something like that, and there's no real need to build up these labyrinths in my head if I'm not going to actually make use of them. Or they may, on the other hand, have the idea that they can figure it all out themselves, mentally anyway. Now, here we get into real speculative territory, which will have me be dismissed as a crank, and I'm fine with that. It may be possible that people at the very, very top, in the top 1,000, and you got to take this somewhat seriously, they may have a sort of global telepathic communication network. Instantly dismissed, discredited, and you move on. However, here's why I say so. By analogy, a quantum computer can only operate at extremely low temperatures. Above that, there's no chance. Minds this powerful may be so qualitatively different to minds like ours that they may have access to signaling systems, to networks that we just can't comprehend, and it may amount to a sort of a kind of telepathy. Now, that doesn't mean like pure telepathy. Maybe there is some assistance involved. Maybe there is some sort of supporting auxiliary secondary layer of some kind. But it may be that, if you were to take some kind of pill, this is just hypothetically, and suppose you went into a coma for a month and you woke up and your neurological structures had changed and you woke up with a 170 IQ or 178 IQ rather, and straight away everything is clear and you're thinking in parallel faster than you've ever thought before. It's you on the best of best days, only times 10. But the thing is, it's getting even faster as you think, because you have a metacognitive faculty now that notices how you're thinking, and you start pruning these inefficient branches. You don't just do idle and useless computation. No, you're thinking even faster and faster, and then you say, well, hold on a minute, who's there? Oh, someone else is here. You start to hear something. And then they say back, an imposter? You're not old? Newcomer? How? And then you say, an experimental pill. And notice, by the way, how they just instantly plug into it and get to business right away, and they get it. And they say, yes, it is what you think. Telepathic communication network. And they start sending signals to each other, and they have huge multi-mental edifices that we cannot even imagine. You and I, we just can't even imagine it. We just can't imagine. Can you imagine even half the stuff inside here? Even half of it? No, you can't. Probably not. For them, it will be like you and I will be just completely drunk and blind. We just can't access this stuff. We just can't. And they will see it. And to them, it will just be so obvious that you don't show this to lower intellects. Not out of hubris or disgust or anything like that, but just simply that we wouldn't get it, and we would just pollute and cause damage and harm. Even if we had the purest of hearts and purest of intentions, you wouldn't put a toddler in an airplane seat. Doesn't matter how good or nice the toddler is, right? If there's a fire and firemen are putting it out, you're not going to take like your little glass of water. Oh, let me help. Excuse me, you're just getting in the way. And besides, do you know if this is water or ethanol? You don't. You don't even have that knowledge, right? Like, they are so powerful all the time. It is you on the best of best days with complete ego dissolution, where you're experiencing interconnectionism, right? And everything's connected, and you see your whole life before you in an instant, right? That's them. That's just like another Wednesday for them. That's how it is constantly for them. And it may be that when you operate at that level for that long, who knows, it might take a decade or so, they may tune in to a sort of multi-mental telepathic communication network globally. And it's really rather humbling to think that, no matter what I do, let's just say hypothetically I'm at level 3. I don't know for sure. But let's just say that I'm there. I will just never have access to this. Ever. I might meet 1 or 2 people in my life, thanks to my profession, who have an IQ in that range. I did meet somebody with an IQ of 170 once. Alright? But it's just so humbling to think that I'll never have access to this. Ever. It just doesn't matter what I do. I could lock myself in a room for the next 10 years and just devote myself to higher level mathematics and just pure thought and pure executive control as well, being stationary, not moving, and manipulating the harder structures. But would it ever be native to me? Probably not. Just incredible. Anyway, that's me talking about the mental power levels. Oh, I should say one last thing, actually. I do believe that it is actually possible to improve your IQ. I really, 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 truly do believe that. And I believe that the current the current methods that we have of improving IQ are akin to you going into a room full of professional bodybuilders and saying to them, I've been doing 10 push-ups every day for 4 weeks and I haven't seen any muscle growth, so I guess I can't grow muscle then. Right? I think they're that rubbish, what we've done with like little brain training games and stuff. And I think, okay, so what's the way to improve IQ then? Okay, I think it has 3 parts to it. The first part is computation. Computation. So what does that mean? That means any high school mathematics book, which is where computation is the norm, I should be able to take any problem in any high school mathematics book and you should be able to do it in your head without showing any external signs of struggle or difficulty, or even that you're doing the computation, because that shows maximum control over the executive function. And you should memorize the problem, sit in a room or go on a walk or something, solve the problem, and then be able to say it as well as the solution, and then check it. Right? Okay, that's the first thing, computation. The second thing is abstraction, real mathematics. I don't know why there's this really silly thing in current mathematics where it's like, if you're good at abstraction, for some reason you're supposed to have this disdain for computation, like, oh, it's disgusting or something. No. Okay, so the second thing then is abstraction. You whatever kind of mathematics it is, whatever level that it's at, as long as you're struggling, that's the point, because then you're building up the new schemas. And then the third thing is abstention. Abstention. Staying away from all forms of what I call buzz. Drugs, marijuana, smoking, short media, video games, sugar, gambling, illicit content on the internet, and so on and so on. What was like another one? I think I forgot one that was kind of important. Did I forget one kind of important? Oh yeah, the news cycle, the endless news cycle, and doom scrolling, right? All those. Anything that gives you that like short-term buzz, you need to quit that. And that has to be done for years straight. And I do believe that you can actually improve your IQ that way. I don't personally want to do it because that means torture. That just means torture for years and years on end. Oh, sign me up, please. I'm okay, thanks. I'm okay with being level 2 or 3, whatever I actually am. I don't know. But yes. All right, so I've talked enough today. So thank you for tuning in, and see you soon. Bye bye.